I didn't think my wedding day could make my hands shake the way they did when I was a kid, cornered by someone louder, meaner, and somehow always protected. But there I was, a bride, standing under warm vineyard lights, with lace at my wrists and a veil pinned into my hair, watching my husband's sister stride toward our reception like she owned the night. Vanessa. And beside her, her 10-year-old daughter Lily, small, restless, eyes darting around like she was searching for the stage her mother promised her. My stomach dropped so hard I tasted metal. "Is that?" I whispered, not finishing the sentence. Alex's hand tightened around mine immediately, the way it always does when he feels my fear before I can name it. His voice stayed calm, but the muscles in his jaw went rigid. "Yeah, it's them." The music kept playing. People kept laughing. Glasses clinked. Somewhere behind us, the DJ announced dessert would be served soon, cheerful like nothing in the world could go wrong. But I knew exactly what Vanessa had come for. 2 weeks earlier, we'd seen the video, Lily rehearsing a comedy routine that was basically a list of insults about my height and my body. Ant Elephant, said out loud, proud, coached, rewarded. And 3 days before the wedding, Lily's iPad had texted me a single elephant emoji. I cried over an emoji like it was a knife. We did everything right. We confronted Vanessa. We gave her alternatives. We set boundaries. We uninvited her and Lily. We emailed every guest so no one could twist the story into Bridezilla punishes a child. Yet here they were anyway, walking toward the glow of our happiness with the confidence of people who believed consequences were for everyone else. Vanessa lifted her chin when she saw the decorations, her eyes scanning like she was hunting for a microphone. Lily bounced on her toes. "Mom, is it my turn soon?" she asked too loudly. Vanessa smiled, sweet on the outside, sharp underneath. "Don't worry, baby. They can't stop us." My throat tightened. I hated confrontation. I hated scenes. But I hated, more than anything, the idea of being humiliated on the one day I was supposed to feel safe. Alex leaned toward my ear, voice low. "Look at me. You're not alone. We planned for this." And for the first time all night, I believed him. If you'd met me in middle school, you would have noticed the same thing everyone always noticed first. I was tall. Not a little taller than the other girls. Tall. Noticeably tall. The kind of tall that makes adults comment like they're paying you a compliment, and kids comment like they've been handed permission. By 8th grade, I was already 5'6". I learned early how to fold myself smaller, shoulders rounded, chin tucked, laughter swallowed, because taking up space felt like inviting attention. Alex was the opposite kind of noticeable. He was small for his age, skinny in that way that made teachers ask if he was eating enough. And by senior year, he was barely 5'1". If I was the girl people stared at, he was the boy people underestimated. But he was also the boy who never once made me feel like I needed to shrink. We met in elementary school, same class, first grade, the kind of friendship that happens before life teaches you to overthink everything. He shared his snacks when I forgot mine. I helped him carry his backpack when it looked too big for his frame. When kids laughed at him for being short, he'd shrug and say, "At least I can hide better." Then grin at me like it was a private joke. And when kids called me giant, he didn't laugh along. He said, "They're just jealous you can reach the top shelf." That was Alex, quietly loyal, the kind of person who made protection feel normal. We stayed inseparable through school, study partners, inside jokes, the same circle of friends. In high school, people assumed we'd end up together. I didn't let myself believe it, because the world had taught me that being tall made me too much for boys. But in college, something shifted. It wasn't some dramatic confession in the rain. It was a late-night walk back from the library, the air cold enough to make my cheeks sting, and Alex handing me his hoodie without a word. When I protested, he looked up at me, chin tilted, stubborn, and said, "Stop arguing and take it." I took it. And somewhere in that simple act, it became obvious. We weren't just friends. We were each other's safest place. We started dating quietly at first. I was terrified of ruining what we had. Alex wasn't. He moved with the calm certainty of someone who already knew what he wanted. A year later, he brought me to meet his family. Alex had 2 sisters, Tara, who was younger and gentle in a way that felt steady, and Vanessa, older, louder, sharper, like she walked into every room expecting applause. The first time I met Vanessa was at a family barbecue about 4 years ago. I still remember how the sun hit the patio, bright, unforgiving, and how the smell of grilled food mixed with the sound of laughter. Vanessa's eyes swept over me from head to toe. It wasn't curiosity, it was assessment. Then she laughed and said, "Oh my God, Alex actually did it. He really found himself a giant." Everyone went still for half a second. Alex's dad gave her a look, stern, warning. Alex's mom snapped her name like a leash. Vanessa rolled her eyes like they were the dramatic ones, then looked right at me and said, "What? It's funny. He's like—" She held her hand low to her waist, then lifted it up to my shoulder level. "And you're like this." People forced little smiles. Someone changed the subject. The moment passed, the way uncomfortable moments always do, when people would rather avoid conflict than protect the target. But Vanessa didn't stop there. She started calling us Ant and Elephant, like it was cute, like it was a family nickname. The first time, I laughed weakly, because that's what I do when I don't know how to fight back. The second time, I didn't laugh. The third time, I noticed she always said it in front of other people, always with an audience. And every time I felt myself shrink, shoulders folding, voice disappearing, while she grew bigger, brighter, untouchable. Alex always defended me, not with big speeches, but with boundaries. "Stop calling her that. Not funny. We're leaving." We did leave gatherings early because of her. In the car, Alex's hands would grip the steering wheel too hard, and he'd apologize even though none of it was his fault. I'd tell him it was fine, because I hated feeling like the reason he had tension with his family. But the truth was, Vanessa didn't just dislike me. She enjoyed having power over me. And over the years, her daughter Lily, smart, loud, impulsive, diagnosed with ADHD, started copying her mother's tone. Lily would test limits, and Vanessa would wave it away like a free pass. "She can't help it," Vanessa would say, shrugging, as if that sentence excused every cruel thing that came out of a child's mouth. I tried to be patient. I tried to be kind. I tried to be the easy one. Because confrontation freezes me. My brain goes blank, my throat tightens, and I can hear my heartbeat louder than my own thoughts. So I endured. Until the day Vanessa decided my wedding would be her stage. Wedding planning is supposed to be stressful in a fun way. Color palettes, seating charts, arguing gently about whether you really need chair covers or if that money would be better spent on the bar. For Alex and me, the stress didn't come from those things. It came from the constant, quiet dread that Vanessa would find a way to make herself part of it. We set our date, June 15th, 8 months out. Long enough to plan carefully, long enough to hope that maybe, if we kept things structured and respectful, nothing would go wrong. Alex handled most of the family communication because he knew how his sister was. He kept messages short, neutral, hard to twist. I stayed in the background, helping with logistics, spreadsheets, vendor emails, things I could control. That illusion shattered 4 months before the wedding. Tara called us one evening, her voice warm but careful, like she was asking permission rather than making a request. "Sophie wants to sing a short song at the reception," she said. "She's been practicing with her music teacher. If it's not okay, please tell me." Sophie was 5, sweet, shy, the kind of kid who hugged your leg without asking and whispered secrets you didn't need to know. I smiled just hearing her name. We said yes immediately. It felt meaningful. Family in the best sense of the word. A small moment of love folded into a big day. 2 weeks later, Vanessa found out. She didn't call. She didn't ask. She told us. Alex put the phone on speaker so I could hear her voice. Bright, triumphant. "Oh, by the way," she said, like she was announcing a menu change, "Lily's doing a stand-up routine at the reception." My stomach dropped. Alex blinked. "A routine?" "Yeah," Vanessa said, waving off the question even through the phone. "She's been working on it. It'll be hilarious." Something cold slid down my spine. "What kind of routine?" Alex asked carefully. Vanessa laughed. "It's a surprise. Trust me, you'll love it." I didn't trust her, not for a second. That night, Alex and I sat on our couch in silence, the glow from the TV flickering across the walls without either of us watching. "Do we shut this down now?" he asked. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to draw the line immediately. Another part, the part trained by years of minimizing myself, whispered that maybe I was overreacting, that if I said something too soon, I'd look dramatic. "Maybe it's harmless," I said, even though my chest felt tight. "Maybe she's finally being normal." Alex didn't look convinced, but he nodded. "Okay, we'll wait. But if it feels wrong, we stop it." The waiting lasted exactly 1 week. Tara sent Alex a video late one night with no explanation. Just a text. "You need to see this." We watched it together. Lily stood in a living room, bouncing on her toes, grinning like she was about to perform for an audience. Vanessa's voice could be heard off camera, prompting her. Okay, start with the big one, Vanessa said. Lily laughed and launched into it. Jokes about how I was so big, I probably crushed Alex when I hugged him. About how no one could see him when we stood next to each other. About how he should bring a step stool to kiss his bride. Then Lily looked straight at the camera and said, "Congrats, Aunt Elephant." Vanessa laughed loudly behind the phone. I felt like I'd been slapped. Alex's face went red, not embarrassed, but furious. His hands curled into fists so tight his knuckles turned white. "That's it," he said. "We're done." We texted Vanessa immediately. No softness, no room for interpretation. Lily would not be performing at our wedding. The response came fast and vicious. Vanessa accused us of ruining her daughter's life, of discriminating against Lily because of her ADHD, of being cruel for letting Sophie sing, but not Lily. She said Lily had been practicing for weeks. She said Lily would be devastated. She said I was too sensitive. I sat on the edge of the bed reading those messages, my chest aching, my thoughts spiraling. I knew how this would look if Vanessa showed anyone those texts. I knew how easily she could twist the narrative. And for the first time, I realized something that scared me more than the wedding itself. Vanessa didn't see me as a person. She saw me as a prop, and she was willing to use her own child as a weapon to hurt me. We didn't argue with Vanessa over text. Alex called her. He put the phone on speaker, and before dialing, he looked at me the way he does when he's about to step into something ugly on my behalf. "I'm recording this," he said quietly, "just in case." I nodded, my throat already tight. Vanessa answered on the second ring, her voice sugary and annoyed. "What now?" Alex didn't waste time. "Lily is not performing at our wedding. Period." There was a beat of silence, then a sharp laugh. "You can't be serious." "I am," he said evenly. "That video was cruel. It was bullying." "Oh my God," Vanessa scoffed. "It's jokes. You two need to lighten up." I felt my hands start to shake. I pressed them flat against my thighs, grounding myself in the texture of my dress pants, the hum of the air conditioner, anything real. Alex continued. "Sophie is singing a short song that was planned months ago. Lily's routine is insults aimed at my wife." Vanessa's tone shifted, harder, defensive. "So you're saying my daughter isn't good enough?" "I'm saying your daughter is being used," Alex snapped, the calm finally cracking. "You coached her to humiliate my wife." "That's a lie," Vanessa said immediately. Too fast. "You made that video up." My head snapped up. "What?" I said before I could stop myself. Vanessa heard my voice and pounced on it. "There she is, Miss Sensitive herself. You know what your problem is? You've always been insecure. Everything offends you." My vision tunneled. Alex cut in sharply. "Do not talk to her like that." Vanessa ignored him. "If Lily can't perform, then neither should Sophie. That's only fair." Alex took a breath. I could hear him counting, one of his tells when he's trying not to explode. "Fine," he said. "Then neither child performs publicly." For half a second, I thought that might end it. Then Vanessa changed tactics. "Well, Lily still wants to perform in front of everyone." Alex stared at the wall like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Vanessa, this is our wedding, not an open mic night." That's when she said it. "You're turning into a bridezilla," she sneered. I always knew she'd be like this, making everything about herself. Something inside me snapped, not loud, not explosive, but sharp and clear. I leaned forward. "Tara asked permission months ago," I said, my voice shaking but steady. "She told us exactly what Sophie would do. You didn't ask. You didn't tell us. You just decided." Vanessa laughed, dismissive. "It's not my fault you can't take a joke." Alex's voice dropped. "Say it. Say that Lily will not perform at our wedding." There was a long pause. Finally, Vanessa said, "Fine, whatever. She won't perform." I didn't believe her. Neither did Alex. After the call ended, Tara sent us screenshots. Texts from Vanessa calling her a traitor, a rat, a terrible sister. That night, my chest felt tight in a way that wouldn't ease. I kept replaying Lily's voice in the video, the way she smiled when she said the nickname, the way Vanessa laughed. 3 days later, Lily's iPad texted me. One message. That was it. No words, just the elephant emoji. I stared at my phone until my vision blurred. It felt childish, small, but it landed exactly where Vanessa wanted it to. Deep and personal. Proof that she wasn't done. Proof that she enjoyed this. I cried quietly in this bathroom so Alex wouldn't hear me at first. When he did hear me, he wrapped his arms around me and said, "That's enough." We uninvited them. Not impulsively, not dramatically. We sat down with Alex's parents and siblings and explained everything. The video, the texts, the emoji. They were horrified. Alex's parents didn't argue. They didn't make excuses. They told us they supported whatever decision we made. So we sent an email to all our guests. We were calm, clear. honest. Due to inappropriate behavior and a planned act of bullying, Vanessa and Lily were no longer invited. We apologized for the awkwardness. We stated firmly that we would not tolerate humiliation on our wedding day. The response was overwhelming. Supportive messages, apologies on Vanessa's behalf, people thanking us for setting boundaries they'd never been brave enough to set themselves. Vanessa didn't respond. Neither did Lily. That silence scared me more than the yelling ever had. The night before the wedding, we hosted a small family dinner, the same one where we'd offered Lily an alternative performance. Vanessa and Lily didn't show. I told myself that was a good sign. I was wrong. On the morning of my wedding, I woke up with my heart already racing. Not from excitement, though that was there, layered beneath everything else, but from the kind of tension that lives in your muscles when you've been bracing for impact for too long. Alex noticed immediately. "You okay?" he asked softly as we sat on the edge of the bed, sunlight spilling across the floor. I nodded, even though my stomach felt hollow. "I think so." That wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. We decided to get ready together. Not because we were trying to be unconventional, but because separation felt wrong after everything we'd been through. I needed him near me, grounding me, reminding me that whatever happened, we were on the same side. We exchanged vows privately, walking through the vineyard before guests arrived. The air smelled like warm earth and early summer leaves. Alex's voice shook when he promised to always stand between me and anyone who tried to hurt me. I believed him. The ceremony itself was beautiful. Simple, honest. When I walked toward Alex, I didn't feel tall or awkward or exposed. I felt chosen. For a while, I let myself relax. At the reception, laughter flowed. Glasses clinked. Music filled the open space. Sophie sang her song, soft, earnest, and I cried without shame. I thought, maybe that's it. Maybe Vanessa won't come. Then our videographer pulled Alex aside. I saw his face change before he even spoke to me. "They're here," he said quietly. Everything inside me went cold. I felt 12 years old again, standing too tall in a room where someone wanted to knock me down to feel bigger themselves. My palms went slick with sweat. My ears rang. But then something different happened. I didn't freeze. I breathed, because we had prepared. Our DJ, one of our closest friends, knew the situation. The microphone was locked down. No spontaneous speeches, no surprises. Alex's family knew. Tara knew. Even Alex's parents, who hated confrontation as much as I did, had promised they wouldn't look away this time. And our friend Mark, a towering, gentle man with a voice like gravel, stood near the edge of the reception area, watching the entrance. When Vanessa and Lily approached, Mark stepped forward smoothly, blocking their path like it was the most natural thing in the world. Vanessa's voice carried, "Excuse me, we're invited." Mark didn't raise his voice. "You're not." Lily tugged on Vanessa's arm. "Mom, I want to go in." Vanessa tried to push past him. "My daughter has a performance." No one turned to look. That was the most powerful part. People didn't whisper. They didn't stare. They didn't gather around for drama. They ignored them. Vanessa raised her voice. Lily stomped her foot. They reached for decorations like they could force themselves into relevance. The DJ switched songs every time Lily tried to sing along loudly. When Vanessa shouted that they had an announcement, conversations continued uninterrupted. It was like watching a tantrum dissolve without oxygen. I stood there, heart pounding, but something inside me shifted. For the first time, Vanessa wasn't controlling the room. She wasn't controlling me. Then Tara made a call. Vanessa's husband, Dan, arrived less than 10 minutes later. His face was thunderous. He didn't argue. He didn't negotiate. He told Vanessa they were leaving. Now. She protested. She cried. She accused everyone of betrayal. Dan took Lily's hand and walked her to the car. Vanessa followed, defeated and furious. Before he left, Dan handed Tara a card for us and mouthed, "I'm sorry." And just like that, it was over. No applause, no commentary, no dramatic exit. The music kept playing. Alex looked at me, his eyes searching my face. "Are you okay?" I took a breath and realized, surprisingly, that I was. Shaken, yes, but not broken. The rest of the night was everything we wanted it to be. Dancing, laughter, cake, love. Vanessa had come to make herself unforgettable. Instead, she became invisible. We left for our honeymoon the next morning. Italy felt like another universe. Sun-warmed stone, winding streets, espresso strong enough to reset your soul. Rome, Florence, Venice. Alex and I walked until our feet ached, ate too much pasta, laughed in hotel rooms like we were teenagers again. For the first time in months, Vanessa didn't exist. I thought the distance would dull everything, that when we came home, the drama would feel smaller, farther away. I was wrong. The first crack came in the form of a card. Vanessa's husband, Dan, had given it to Tara at the wedding. We opened it the day after we got back, sitting at our kitchen table with jet lag still clinging to us. Inside was an apology. Not defensive, not vague. Dan wrote that he had no idea what Vanessa and Lily had been planning, that he'd been trying to get Vanessa into counseling for years, that the wedding incident had opened his eyes in a way he couldn't ignore anymore. He included a generous gift card to our favorite restaurant. I cried, not because of the money, but because someone finally said, "This wasn't your fault." The next day, Alex's mom and Tara came over. They didn't sugarcoat anything. The fallout for Vanessa had been immediate and severe. Alex's parents told her she wasn't welcome in their home until she apologized sincerely and sought help. Several aunts, uncles, and cousins had blocked her outright. Family group chats went silent whenever her name came up. Then Tara said something that made my stomach drop. "This isn't the first time," she admitted. 3 years earlier, before Tara's wedding, Vanessa had spread rumors that Tara's fiancé was cheating. Completely false. Proven false. But damaging enough to cause weeks of stress. The family had covered it up, smoothed it over, hoped Vanessa would grow out of it. She hadn't. 2 days later, Dan called Alex. Vanessa had barely spoken since the wedding. She was locking herself in the bedroom or going out late. Lily was confused, acting out at school. Dan said something that stuck with me. "I'm worried about the example she's setting." He asked if we'd consider meeting with him and Lily, without Vanessa, so Lily could understand that we weren't angry with her. I hesitated. The idea of seeing Lily again made my chest tighten. But I also knew she was 10. She'd been coached, rewarded, manipulated. We said we'd think about it. Before we could decide, Vanessa broke her silence. She sent a group text to the entire family. She claimed she was the victim, that we'd humiliated her and traumatized Lily, that Lily was struggling in school because of us, that we were jealous of her. Alex's dad responded first. He laid out the facts, calmly, clearly. He reminded her she'd been uninvited, that the routine was bullying, that showing up anyway was her choice. Other family members chimed in. Vanessa spiraled. She texted Alex and me directly, demanding we fix this and tell everyone to stop attacking her. Alex replied once, "We didn't cause this. You did." The next morning, Alex's mom called. Vanessa had shown up at their house unannounced, crying, claiming Dan was threatening to leave her. She begged them to intervene. They refused. Hours later, Dan called again. Vanessa had come home enraged, packed bags, and left with Lily. My chest ached for that child. That was the moment Alex and I decided to meet Dan and Lily. We chose a neutral restaurant. Bright, casual, safe. Lily was quiet at first, staring at her plate. Dan looked exhausted. We talked about school, about hobbies, about nothing important. Then Alex gently explained why the routine would have hurt my feelings. Lily listened, really listened. When she asked why her mom told her it would be funny, Dan stepped in. Sometimes adults make mistakes. Lily surprised us by apologizing. Then she said something that made my blood boil. My mom said I'd get a new iPad if I did really good. I swallowed my anger for Lily's sake. 2 days later, Vanessa came home. She agreed to therapy, not because she thought she needed it, but because she wanted to prove she wasn't the problem. Progress was slow, uneven. Then came Alex's grandmother's birthday dinner. Vanessa wasn't invited. She showed up anyway. She screamed, accused, made Alex's grandmother cry. Alex's father escorted her out. After that, Vanessa left again, this time without Lily. Dan sounded relieved when he told us. Finally, something shifted. Vanessa met Alex's mom for coffee. She was quieter, less defensive. She admitted her therapist suggested she had deep insecurity tied to feeling overshadowed. It wasn't an apology, but it was the first crack in her armor. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about me. Vanessa didn't hate my height. She hated that Alex chose me. I thought once Vanessa started therapy, the worst was behind us. I was wrong again. The quiet that followed wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. The kind of silence that makes you replay everything in your head because there's nothing else to distract you. At night, when Alex fell asleep beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to his breathing and wondering why this, of all things, had shaken me so deeply. I told myself I was overreacting. I was married to the man I loved. Our wedding had been beautiful. Vanessa hadn't won. So why did I still feel small? I kept seeing Lily's face in my mind. Not the version coached into cruelty, but the version at lunch, apologizing in a quiet voice, confused about why adults couldn't behave better. And beneath that was the memory that cut deeper, Vanessa laughing, years earlier, calling me elephant, like it was harmless. It hit me one night while brushing my teeth. This wasn't just about the wedding. This was about every moment I'd swallowed my discomfort to keep the peace. Every time I'd smiled instead of saying, "That hurts." Every time I'd let someone else define how much space I was allowed to take up. Vanessa had been cruel, but she'd also been consistent. And I'd been consistent too. Consistently silent. That realization hurt more than anything she'd ever said. A week later, Dan called again. His voice was low, strained. "I think I'm done," he said. Vanessa's behavior hadn't improved. Therapy sessions ended with her complaining about being misunderstood. She blamed everyone else. Lily was showing signs of anxiety, nail biting, trouble sleeping. Dan said something I'll never forget. "I'm scared Lily will grow up thinking this is normal." I felt a weight settle on my chest. This wasn't just family drama anymore, it was generational. That night, Alex found me sitting on the floor of our bedroom, wedding shoes still in their box, my dress hanging untouched in the closet. "I don't like who I am in this story," I admitted quietly. He sat down beside me. "What do you mean?" "I hate that it took this much for me to speak up. I hate that she still lives in my head. I hate that a nickname still has power over me." Alex didn't rush to fix it. He just listened. "I spent my whole life being told I was too big," I continued. "Too tall, too noticeable, and instead of owning it, I tried to disappear." My voice broke. "What if that's what Lily learns too? That cruelty is louder than kindness?" Alex took my hands. "You didn't disappear," he said firmly. "You protected yourself the best way you knew how. And when it mattered, you chose boundaries." I wanted to believe him. But the darkest moment came a few days later. Vanessa showed up at our house, unannounced. I froze when I saw her through the window. My heart slammed against my ribs like it wanted to escape. Alex opened the door while I stayed back, my body buzzing with fear and anger. I could hear her crying, blaming, accusing. "She ruined my life," Vanessa sobbed. "You turned everyone against me." Alex's voice stayed calm. "You did that yourself." She said things about me, things Alex refused to repeat later, things meant to wound. When she finally left, slamming the door behind her, I sank onto the couch and shook. That was my lowest point. Not because she'd insulted me, but because I realized she still wanted power over my emotional state. And for a moment, she had it. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't control Vanessa, but I could decide who I wanted to be moving forward. The letter arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. No return address on the envelope, just my name written in careful, uneven handwriting. I knew who it was from before I opened it. Vanessa. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, fingers resting on the paper, heart beating slow and heavy. Part of me wanted to throw it away unopened. Another part, stronger than it used to be, wanted to face whatever was inside without flinching. I opened it. It wasn't an apology, not really, but it was close. Vanessa wrote about therapy, about how her therapist had helped her see patterns in her behavior. She admitted, without using my name, that she'd been jealous of Alex's closeness with me since we were kids, that she felt replaced, overshadowed. She acknowledged that using Lily the way she did at the wedding was wrong. Then, inevitably, she hedged. She mentioned how things could have been handled differently, how emotions had been high on all sides. I folded the letter slowly, my hand steady. For the first time, it didn't knock the wind out of me. A week later, another letter came. This one was addressed to me. Vanessa apologized directly for the nickname, for the comments, for planning to humiliate me. She wrote that none of it was because of my height or my body, but because of her own insecurity. I cried reading it, not from pain, but from release. Not because it erased the past, but because it confirmed something I'd already begun to understand. There was nothing wrong with me. I didn't rush to respond. I talked it over with Alex. We agreed on boundaries, clear, firm, protective. When I wrote back, I thanked her for acknowledging the harm. I told her I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I hoped she continued therapy. That was my turning point. Not forgiveness, agency. Thanksgiving came. Alex's parents decided to invite Vanessa, carefully, cautiously, along with Dan and Lily, arriving separately. I almost didn't go. But then I realized I didn't want fear making my decisions anymore. Vanessa was different when we arrived. Quieter, less performative. She waved instead of approaching. During dinner, she didn't make jokes, didn't comment on my body, didn't seek attention. Afterward, she asked if she could speak with us privately. In Alex's dad's study, she apologized in person. No excuses, no jokes. She told us she'd been diagnosed with narcissistic tendencies and extreme insecurity. She said she didn't expect forgiveness, only the chance to be better. I listened, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. We told her we were willing to be civil, nothing more. She accepted that. That was the shift. I didn't need her approval. I didn't need her shame. I just needed my boundaries. The consequences didn't arrive all at once. They came quietly, steadily, like doors closing one by one. Dan filed for divorce about a month after Thanksgiving. Alex told me gently, sitting beside me on the couch, his hand warm against my knee. I felt a strange mix of sadness and inevitability. Dan had tried for years. The wedding hadn't caused the collapse, it had exposed it. Vanessa didn't take the news well. She showed up at our house one evening without calling. Alex answered the door while I stayed in the kitchen, my pulse thudding in my ears. I could hear her crying, her voice sharp with panic. "My life is falling apart," she said. "Everyone's against me." Alex stayed calm. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't defend me because he didn't need to. He told her the truth, that her choices had consequences, that blaming me wouldn't save her marriage, that therapy wasn't something you did to prove others wrong. It was something you did to change. She said things about me before she left, things meant to sting. Alex didn't repeat them. That somehow hurt her more than any argument ever could. After that, contact stopped. Updates came through Dan instead. He had temporary primary custody of Lily. Vanessa missed visits, showed up late, canceled last minute. Lily started asking fewer questions about her mom and more about rules, about what was okay and what wasn't. Dan enrolled Lily in therapy. The child psychologist said she was learning boundaries faster than most adults. That sentence stayed with me. Then came the letters. Vanessa wrote to Alex first, then to me. They weren't perfect. Accountability came in pieces, not waves, but they were real enough to matter. Alex replied with cautious kindness. I replied with honesty and distance. We didn't punish her. We didn't campaign against her. We didn't need to. The family saw everything clearly now. At Christmas, Vanessa was present, but subdued. She brought a simple gift. No jokes, no comments, no attempts to reclaim the spotlight. Sophie sang again. Lily watched. After dinner, Lily approached us holding a piece of folded paper. She'd drawn a picture of the whole family. Alex, me, Dan, even Vanessa, standing together under a Christmas tree. It was clumsy and sweet and achingly hopeful. Vanessa watched from across the room. She didn't interrupt. That restraint spoke louder than any apology. By the time the divorce was finalized, the family dynamic had changed permanently. Vanessa no longer controlled the room. No one tiptoed. No one laughed nervously. Her power, social, emotional, had collapsed under the weight of truth. And I hadn't lifted a finger to make it happen. I just stopped shrinking. 6 months later, life is quieter in ways I didn't know I needed. Alex and I bought our house at the end of summer. A modest place with sunlight in the mornings, and a yard just big enough for the dog we adopted, Max, an older lab mix who thinks couches exist solely for him. The walls are still a little bare. The floors creak. It feels like ours. Vanessa exists at the edges now. We see her at family gatherings. We're civil, polite, distant. She's still in therapy. She still has work to do. I don't watch her progress closely anymore because it's not my responsibility. That might be the biggest change. I no longer feel responsible for managing other people's emotions. Lily is doing better. Dan has primary custody, and she's learning what kindness looks like when it isn't conditional. Sometimes she sends us drawings. Sometimes she just waves shyly across a room. I wave back. Alex and I are talking about starting a family of our own. The idea doesn't scare me the way it once did. I think it's because I finally understand something I didn't before. Taking up space isn't a flaw. Being visible doesn't make you cruel. Being tall doesn't make you wrong. Being quiet doesn't mean you deserve to be walked over. For years, I thought strength had to look loud to count. I was wrong. Strength can look like boundaries, like preparation, like silence when silence protects you, like speaking once and meaning it. Vanessa tried to turn my wedding into a stage for her insecurity. She failed. And not because I fought her, but because I stopped letting her define me. If there's a lesson here for anyone watching, it's this. You don't owe anyone your comfort. You don't have to laugh to keep the peace. And you are allowed to take up exactly as much space as you need. The rest is just noise.